whose lives were lost in acts of anti-transgender violence.
Yeah.
You know what? They don't actually give you examples. I had a look. This is on Glad, by the way. And there's several other websites too. They don't give you examples. And even if they
What are you talking about? 33 trans people. There's literally a list that was linked to me in chat. Amiri Jean Reed, Kejwan Richardson, Savannah Ryan Williams. Like, there's literally lists. There's lists. They're right here. What the f are you talking about? These are the faces. These are the names. Here you go. It's right here. Is that what you wanted, you freak? This was recommended to me in my Discord server. You can find the link to the Discord server in the description below, or you can follow the QR code that Dubsy likes to leave on the screen, and you can leave your recommendations in the Juicebox channel in that server. This is Trans Day of Remembrance, You Won't Ever Forget by the Storybox. I don't know what this is going to be all about. It seems like a pro-trans title. He doesn't strike me as a hateful person at first glance, but apparently he is. So let's take a look. And I've seen a few other of his videos. I was looking through his horrific, terrible thumbnails. These are just garbage thumbnails. They look like they're for the front page of my I need more rectangles for the front page of my PowerPoint project, right? On dogs or something. Like, that's literally what this looks like. Work on your thumbnail game is my point. But anyway, let's take a look at what's going on here.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So apparently today is Trans Day of Remembrance.
Australian.
This Day of Remembrance is for all of the supposed transgender individuals that have lost their
Trans Day of Remembrance was November 20th, by the way. I know we're doing this late, but it was recommended recently, so.
Lives due to transgender hatred and violence towards them. I know how absurd that actually sounds because, to be honest with you, I can't even recall a single person that happens to claim to be trans, even if there is such a thing as transgenderism. But anyway, that's beside the point. I can't seem to think of one person that has actually lost his or her life based on this so-called hated rhetoric or trans violence.
Where do you think the statistic comes from? The 40% statistic. Every single one of those statistics, almost every single one of them, is because of people like you who hate them. Okay? It causes mental instability. That is a thing that happens as a result of the entire society shitting on you. For one thing. And for another thing, there's a ton of violence against trans people. There's like more I don't know if this is true or not. You know what? Let me not be a dipshit and just look it up. Transgender people over 4 times more likely than cisgender people to be victims of violent crime. More than 4 times more likely than cisgender people to experience violent victimization, including sexual assault and aggravated or simple assault, according to a new study. Yeah, there's plenty of violence against them, and a lot of them happen to be killings. So, you know, you can say that you personally don't know them, but that's not how statistics work. That's not how real life works, my dude.
Violence towards them. I don't know about you, but I can think of many supposed individuals that identify as being trans that have committed a great deal of harm towards everyday individuals. I can think of like many transgender women.
Again, that does not reflect in the statistics.
That have beaten a lot of women, that have caused a lot of harm. I can think of Audrey Hale, for example, who went into a Christian school and killed 6 innocent people. I can think of many other.
That's one trans person out of how many cis people who go into schools and kill people. You all got to point out here's the thing about like this brand of transphobia is like everybody has to be perfect. Every single trans person has to be an angel, okay? And if even a single one of you commits a crime, then all of you are at fault. It's group punishment. It is literally group punishment, okay? That's a war crime, you know.
For instances, I can think of another transgender individual that has committed more acts of violence and heinous crimes that is now in jail. I'm not going to mention who that name is.
Yeah, list for those we lost in 2024. Let's take a look. Yeah, 33 people. Trans, non-binary, gender expansive, and gender non-conforming people who have been killed in the last year. 21 killed with a gun. You know, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you think about that in terms of how many trans people there are, like statistically, when you look at the rate, once again, it's 4 times more likely than cis people. That's insane. That's crazy. Anyway,
but there is many cases that I can think of that today we're going to remember all
trust me,
about
there's so
them
many.
and the butchery and the madness that they have committed, not these people that have apparently lost their life due to trans hate and trans violence and whatever else, because I can't find any stories like that at all.
It's called statistics, dude. Do you not believe the statistics? Like, where are you getting your stats from?
Now,
well, I didn't see it on the front page of Facebook, so it must not be real, right?
Poet, who actually follows me on Twitter, and I think she is a brilliant individual who is a friend of Chloe Cole, who I've had on this show, by the way. I don't think we should forget about
Chloe
what the
Cole.
Transgenderism narrative has done to the likes of innocent young kids. So if we're going to do a proper Trans Day of Remembrance, let's actually remember the horrific crimes that the transgender movement and cult.
How about the horrific crimes of like any other group? Like, let's start with white people. How about the horrific crimes of cis people against trans people? Huh? Because once again, trans people are 4 times more likely than cis people to be victims of crime. And the vast majority of those, I guarantee you, are cis people doing it. Okay? So fuck off.
Have committed towards innocent young men and innocent young women. So this is what Maya put on her Twitter on this Trans Day of Remembrance. We will never forget how love is love.
Never forget trans crimes against humanity. I've always been self-conscious about my shirtless body, even after top surgery, but it's been so much worse since getting a ton of tubes placed to keep me alive. I hate looking sick, and I hate being reminded I'm sick. I don't know who this is or what this story is. This person looks fine. By the way, like, they always post kids, too. Like, it's really weird. It's really weird. Like, they never even ask the kids, like, hey, how are you doing? You know? Like, let's get the kid's opinion. This guy looks like he's doing fine. He likes to dress up
as a princess, so be kind and castrate him. We will never forget the trans crimes committed against our children and young people. Will you join me in trans remembrance? Abso-freaking-lutely.
He's so annoying.
So
I don't know how long I can do this. As
we know, the transgender narrative lies to young, innocent, vulnerable kids and says you can be something that you claim to be, which you're actually not. But if you claim to be that, it must be so. The woke...
If you claim to be the other gender, yes, because that's the only way we can measure what gender somebody is. Yeah.
Nonsense has gone too far. The radical left have taken it way too far. Common sense has been thrown out the window, unfortunately, all because you have a...
What's wrong with the kid being trans? That's all I want to know. What's wrong with it? So what?
A bunch of crybabies that jump up and down, stomp their feet and say, oh, you're attacking my identity. God forbid that you attack my identity. How in the world am I going to live if you go after my identity, man?
Dude, I'm about to attack your identity. Shut up. He is like really... This is a grating video. Holy shit.
So, what are we going to do? We're going to tell you to shut up, sit down, and mind your damn business. Grow up. Seriously. Grow the hell.
I want to shove him in a locker, dude. I want to shove him in a locker so bad. That's where he belongs. That's what he's giving.
Up. Your identity is not found in your
POV, the nerd comes up to you and starts spouting off about why trans people are bad and all of the stories that he's personally seen on his Facebook feed. Just shove him in a locker. That's where he belongs.
Called biological sex, or this gender that you create for yourself, that you want to be the opposite sex, but you... it's so pathetic and so stupid. I lose brain cells every single time I think of this. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, let's remember all of the harm
he's got a lot of those to
actually
lose.
Come to innocent young people.
Like what?
That have gone on puberty blockers, that have been butchered.
Puberty blockers are completely safe. They're completely safe and completely reversible.
Castrated, had their breasts cut off. Let's remember those people, or even...
I had this point in the debate I just had, which I haven't uploaded yet. I promise I'll get to it. But we cut the breasts, like we do mastectomies, I should say, on cis boys who have gynecomastia, and nobody has a problem with that. Almost nobody. I'm sure a few of these freaks are like, yeah, no, they should totally have body dysphoria and tits, right? But we perform that procedure on cis boys and nobody has an issue with it. But suddenly it's a trans boy. And, oh my God. No. She has to keep the tits, right? We must preserve her tits on the 16-year-old, by the way. That's how these people think. They're freaks. They're disgusting.
Even the young men that have chopped off their penises to invert into a wound. Let's think about Jazz Jennings, for example, who was lied to, who was paraded around for all to see. Let's remember Jazz.
Nobody ever asks Jazz Jennings how the f she's doing. She doesn't regret her decisions. She has never said that she regrets it, okay? She's never said that she wishes she could go back and undo it or anything like that. Not to my knowledge. If I'm wrong, feel free to say so. I could be wrong on this. I'm willing to be wrong. But from my understanding, she's never said that. What about Jazz Jennings? Who gives a f?
Jazz and all the pain that Jazz has been through, not at the hands of regular individuals that try to tell Jazz the truth. Let's remember Jazz for being lied to, butchered, mutilated, all at the hands of this so-called narrative that is going to make you fulfilled, but it doesn't. So I had a look at what this day represents.
It does, though. Overwhelmingly. Like, all the evidence we have shows that, like, in terms of the medical procedures, 99% of trans people are happy with gender affirmative care. That's the statistic. 99%. There is not a single medical procedure out there that is more that has a higher approval rating than trans care, trans affirmative care. Not a single one. Look it up.
For the trans community, right? The trans community. So
Transgender
Day of Remembrance is an annual observance on November 20th that honors the memory of the transgender people.
Bro is so miserable he can't conceive that trans people aren't. That's true.
Whose lives were lost in acts of anti-transgender violence.
Yeah.
You know what? They don't actually give you examples. I had a look. This is on GLAAD, by the way. And there's several other websites too. They don't give you examples. And even if they...
What are you talking about? 33 trans people. There's literally a list that was linked to me in chat. Amiri Jean Reed, Kejwan Richardson, Savannah Ryan Williams. Like, there's literally lists. There's lists. They're right here. What the f are you talking about? These are the faces. These are the names. Here you go. It's right here. Is that what you wanted, you freak?
Word to give you examples. I wonder whether or not a person has literally picked up a knife.
He needs a list and all the faces and names so he can jerk off to it. How many trans people he assisted in being murdered.
Or a gun and gone after a so-called transgender individual because they claim to hate them.
He and his ilk.
I've not heard one single story like that at all. I've heard lots of stories of transgender individuals going after innocent people. Yeah, heard that.
Hasn't shown up on my Facebook page. No, it hasn't. Right.
But not the other.
Too
other
right,
way around.
mate.
So you can actually read more on the GLAAD website if you want and find out how you can show support.
Stick to your
to the
Facebook
community
groups,
on this
dude.
day. So the community at the moment is in absolute mourning. They've got their candles out. They're going to be more emotional than usual, okay? So we've got to be kind and considerate of these people that are mourning the loss of individuals that have actually been...
Yes? Did we see the outpouring? What was the non-binary child's name? Next Benedict. Somebody said it in YouTube chat. Next Benedict. Yeah, there was a huge outpouring of sentiment for Next Benedict. A huge outpouring of support and condolences and tragic, yeah, it was all over the place. You wouldn't know because you're not part of like a decent community that would do that for their fellow members. Okay? You're conservative. I assume at least this position of yours is conservative, and conservatives don't give a shit about each other. They only care about themselves.
Been lied to at the hands of these anti-trans violent things. So far out. This week, before Transgender Day of Remembrance, people and organizations around the country participate in a Transgender Awareness Week. They've got an entire bloody week, man. I swear these people have got more days for themselves than anyone. Like, I mean, Anzac Day and Remembrance Day is 2 days of the year where we remember our actual fallen soldiers, the servicemen and women.
We have an entire Veterans Month in the United States, okay? Just nobody gives a shit about it.
Went and died and fought for our freedom. So these dingbats can have their so-called day to remember no one that has fallen with anti-transgender violence. And somebody watching this that is for Transgender Day Remembrance, write in the comments so I can see, please, and give me examples, real examples. I would love to see them because I haven't seen any of them. Remembrance, write in the comments so I can see, please, and give me examples, real examples. I would love to see them because I haven't seen any of them, of when somebody has gone out of their way to murder or kill a actual transgender person. Somebody give me.
There's literally a list. There's literally a list. It was linked to me in chat casually, and I just posted it in his comment replies. Like, what do you want, man? Yeah, it happens. At 4 times the rated violence, I should say, not necessarily murder, but violence happens at 4 times the rate to trans people than it does to cis people. This is the facts, man. F off.
Examples. Because I'm pretty sure the news would froth over that stuff and you never hear the end of it. But I haven't seen
Apparently not. Because it happens.
People, I would see it.
Oh, I'm sure the news would froth over it. Oh my God! Hoity-toity. I'm sure we'd hear all about that. You don't. You don't, and it's happening. I wonder why you don't. You know? Have you ever thought about it? Why you're not hearing about it? You know? Because nobody gives a shit about trans people when they die. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Okay? Next Benedict was the one example I could pull up in my head of a trans person who died and people actually gave a about it. Like, off, man. You're such a sad little man. Such a tiny, sad little man. Go find a better thing to do than shit on trans people. Okay? Just because you don't get it. You don't get it. Oh, I don't get it. So I hate them because I don't get it. F you. You're weak. You're weak. Okay? I'm better than you.
By
miles.
What is Transgender Day of Remembrance?
What a disgusting,
already aware.
weak person.
It was started all the way back in 1999, apparently, by transgender advocate Gwendolyn Ann Smith as a vigil to honor the memory of Rita Hester, a transgender woman who was killed in 1998.
People like you should have been bred out of the gene pool.
Commemorated all the transgender people lost to violence since Rita Hester's death and began an important tradition that has become the annual Transgender Day of Remembrance. Transgender Day of Remembrance seeks to highlight the losses we face due to anti-transgender bigotry and violence. I am no stranger to the need to fight for our rights and right to simply exist in the first and foremost. With so many seeking to erase transgender people, we're not. But anyway, sometimes
you are.
The most brutal.
You don't even recognize that they're trans. You can't even recognize that trans people exist. What the f are you talking about? You're not trying to erase them from existence. You are. You're literally doing it. What? Are you not even self-aware? Do you have 2 brain cells to rub together to cause a spark in your hollow skull? Come on, man.
Ways possible. It is vitally important that those we lose are remembered and that we continue to fight for justice. So this person, Rita Hester, I wonder why this person was killed. Let's have a look at Rita Hester, shall we? Because apparently Rita Hester was this important individual. So Rita Hester was a transgender African-American woman, biological man, who was murdered in Allston, Massachusetts on November 28th, 1998.
Yeah.
I wonder actually if Rita's death was because Rita happened to be transgender or whether or not it was just the fact that Rita died from a senseless act.
Again, look up the statistics, man. Trans people are killed at 4 times the rate of cis people. That's not happenstance. That's not coincidence. Okay? There's a clear through line there, and you're part of the problem. So f you.
act of violence. But anyway, since January 2013, so since January 2013, at least 231 transgender and gender non-conforming people have been killed in the US. According to the Human Rights Campaign, a disproportionate number of the killings have happened in the South. Overall, 5 out of 6 of these killings are of women. I mean, okay, so women.
Trans women.
Among the 158 known trans women killed, about 4 out of the 5 are black. I wonder where they get a bunch of these statistics from in the first place in this bit of information. It's like this person.
Police reports. What? You get it from police reports. Yeah. This is how investigations are conducted, right? And that's how data is gathered on this stuff from investigations. You get it from police reports. What? Like this? Like, listen, I don't know exactly how the process works, but I know that it's from police reports. When somebody is murdered, that gets documented, and you can collect that data and draw conclusions from it. Do you not understand anything about anything?
Person is actually committing a hate crime by going after the person because that person happens to identify as being trans?
Yes, yes.
Or could it be the person
happens,
just
yes.
doesn't like what a person has done and killed them? What is the motive here? They
Disproportionately.
don't actually mention the motive.
Okay, wait, you're just victim blaming. What? That was a little bit victim blaming. Oh, the person, maybe they just didn't like what you did, dude. Maybe that's why they had to kill you. What?
They just go, oh, this transgender person that happened to identify as being transgender was killed. What was the motive? It wasn't because they were transgender.
Disproportional.
That would be a different scenario. Okay?
Okay, if you do not recognize that the disproportionality is a result of the person being trans, what you're saying is that trans people are just simply doing things that will lead to them to be more likely to get murdered. Like bad things, like they deserved it. Like that's literally like the conclusion you're drawing. Okay, because otherwise, like, what would the explanation be? What else is the explanation? They're trans. They get killed at 4 times the rate of cis people. It's probably because they're trans.
But it's not like all these people are killed on a regular basis. But this is from NBC, by the way. I'm reading from that, and how Rita Hester apparently sparked this giant movement for Transgender Day of Remembrance. So anyway, I didn't see any like evidence that showcases the motive, because they won't tell you the actual motive. They'll just use it as like a poster for their so-called movement.
It's the statistics.
What they normally do.
It's the statistics.
But when you actually look at it, more than likely, the real problem here is we don't need to remember.
He's stupid. He's just stupid. His brain is calcified. Like, his brain is just a stone, right? Like, he doesn't understand how statistics work. He doesn't get that. He doesn't get it. Trans people are killed at 4 fucking times the rate of cis people. What else needs to be said here? Hello? There seems to be a through line.
Transgender Day of Remembrance as for the so-called transgender people that have lost their lives. I think we should actually look at who the innocent men.
The motive of oppression doesn't matter. It's still oppression. His argument is that trans people just happened to be killed in these circumstances. Like, it was like, let's say a domestic dispute in which, like, let's say you have a husband and a wife, right? A trans wife, and she didn't cook the dinner properly, and so that's why her husband beat her to death. You know, like that classic domestic dispute trope, if you will. Like, he's saying it's not a fact, like being trans was not a factor in that. I understand his argument, but it's a stupid argument if you look at the statistics. It's really stupid.
Children and women, that their lives have been ruined because of transgenderism. I think we should remember all those people. Anyway, happy Transgender Day of Remembrance, people. You can even say that. That's enough from me. You guys take.
Dude, what a disgusting individual. What a piece of shit. I hate him. I hate everything about him. He needs to be shoved in a locker and just stay there. Just stay there for the remainder of the school day, and then you can have your mommy pick you up and take you home. And you can yell at her to make you dino nuggies because you're an insufferable piece of shit. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload. If you enjoy my content, you enjoy what I do, I really appreciate any financial help that I can get. Go to youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV/join. You got some awesome benefits, such as seeing early videos, awesome emotes that you can use in the comments of YouTube videos, and a sweet badge next to your name. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'd really appreciate if you join. It is cheaper than the cost of a blowjob from your mom. So with all that being said, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.